2/3 of adults in the US report having experienced an adverse childhood experience. The thing is, childhood trauma doesn't simply stop when you grow up. All those negative experiences stay with you, and it can resurface in some interesting ways. We'll get to that in a minute, but first, have you ever thought to yourself, why am I this way? Or why is this so hard for me? If you have, then this video is for you. Throughout this video, we will talk about 6 ways childhood trauma can show up in adulthood. Drawn to toxic relationships. Do you find that you're drawn to people who are bad for you? Adults with a history of trauma as children tend to have an attraction to destructive relationships. When you've had a traumatic childhood, as an adult, you subconsciously seek relationships that you find familiar and resemble your past pain. Maybe you go after the unavailable guy, the friend who always says mean things to you and doesn't care about you, or you try to get close to the narcissistic coworker. It's also common for people in this situation to believe they can turn things around in the next relationship. So they go from one relationship to the next, hoping things will change. Forgetting your childhood. Say you met a friend from high school. As you caught up with them, they brought up a memory from 9th grade that they so vividly describe, but you have no recollection of it. I'm sure if something like this happens to you, you'll wonder, why can't I remember that? Before I tell you why, let me ask you a question. How do you recall a memory? The standard process for recalling any memory would involve you describing when it happened, where it happened, who else was there, and giving specific details. Most people who grow up without any childhood trauma can recall their childhood from the time they were a small child through adolescence all the way to adulthood. It turns out this isn't the case for people who have experienced trauma. If you're an adult survivor of childhood trauma, recalling detailed memories from your childhood may not be easy for you. One of the ways our brains helps us cope with trauma is by suppressing memories. So we're not reliving the trauma over and over again. This is why your friend remembered a specific memory so vividly while you had no recollection of it. Avoiding self. This is another way childhood trauma can show up in adulthood. Are you ever at a loss for words, or do you change the topic when prompted to talk about your childhood? Avoidance of self is a defense mechanism that people with past trauma use to distance themselves from their own thoughts, feelings, and memories. For example, suppose you were physically abused as a child. In that case, you might find the idea of talking about your childhood difficult because it can bring up bitter memories about what happened to you as a child. The thing is, running away to feel better is only temporary. The answer to long-term healing is in slowly facing and processing what happened to you with the help of a counselor or a mental health professional. Emotional roller coaster. Childhood experiences significantly affect how we handle our emotions as adults. When we experience trauma during a crucial part of our brain development, we lose out on the opportunity to learn the correct way of coping with stressful emotional experiences. Instead, we learn the abnormal, unhealthy ways to cope. Emotional regulation is how we manage and respond to our emotions. Here's an example. Imagine for a minute that you're standing behind a man at the gas station. The man asks the cashier for a pack of cigarettes. The cashier brings up the wrong pack of cigarettes and gives it to the man. He sighs and says, "That's not the right kind." The cashier goes back and brings another pack of cigarettes. This time, the man starts yelling at the cashier and throws a massive fit in the middle of the store. This is what poor emotional regulation looks like. Lack of emotional regulation can make you feel like you're on a roller coaster. One minute, you're calm, cool, and collected. The next minute, you completely lose control and have angry outbursts. Experiencing trauma as a child can make you less able to control your emotions as an adult. For many adults who experience trauma as children, the brain stays stuck at the age when they experience the trauma. This makes you less emotionally mature for your age. This is often the reason why they have overly exaggerated, over-the-top reactions to situations. Fear of commitment. Trust is the foundation of any good relationship. For adults who have experienced trauma as children, this is something they find challenging. As children, we rely on our parents and adult caregivers to keep us safe, comfort us, and show us what is good and evil. We trust that they'll never harm us and that they love us. Most important, we believe they will be there to protect us. The sad truth is, when children experience trauma like abuse and neglect at the hands of the people they trust the most, this can leave some lasting scars that will take years to repair. A study published in the Journal of Family Psychology in 2017 found that even as newlyweds, spouses with a history of child abuse tend to have less satisfying marriages. Often, a fear of commitment can make you believe you're not good enough. So even when you find someone who treats you well, loves you, and respects you, you find it hard to believe. You convince yourself that it's all a mirage and that none of it is real. Rather than waiting to get hurt, you self-sabotage. Victim mentality. Let me give you an example. Imagine there's a man named Alex who experienced severe emotional abuse during childhood. Alex's parents were constantly critical, demeaning, and emotionally manipulative. This prolonged exposure to a toxic environment shaped Alex's perception of himself and the world around him. As an adult, Alex carries a victim mentality. He often feels helpless and unable to take control of his life. He struggles with low self-esteem, constantly seeking external validation to fill the void left by the lack of affirmation during childhood. Alex sees himself as a perpetual victim. He attributes all his challenges to his past abuse. Alex might struggle to set boundaries or express his needs in relationships, fearing rejection or criticism. The victim mentality affects various aspects of his life, from career choices to personal relationships. Despite opportunities for positive change, Alex may find it difficult to break free from the cycle of victimhood. Adults with a history of trauma often internalize the role of a victim. The childhood trauma and victimization at the hands of those closest to you can make you feel like you are powerless and can make you feel like there's no hope. Living with this state of mind throughout childhood can make you genuinely believe that you are a victim and that you have no control or power over anything. Almost half of all kids in the US go through challenging childhood experiences. While you had no control over your early years, you can redefine your narrative as an adult. You don't have to see yourself as a perpetual victim. Instead, embrace being a survivor who made it through some tough times. The past may shape you, but it doesn't define you. You can build a future filled with strength, resilience, and empowerment with awareness, self-reflection, and support. If this video added any value to your life or increased your knowledge in some way, please click the like button and subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment below and share a story of hope and resilience with us. Remember to spread loving kindness to all beings around you and be the change you want to see in the world. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.